Red Sonja is a super cool comic book character, originally created from the mind of the great Robert E. Howard for the use of Marvel. Robert E. Howard, by the way, the guy who also came up with, a little character you might know is Conan the Barbarian, also Solomon Kane as well. Several other great classic characters that have stood the test of time. And the backstory to Red Sonja, if they want to tell a really brutal R-rated story, that'd be a hell of a good place to begin. But given the fact that we're going to be seeing a reboot, it's been in kind of development hell for a long time, and well, there's been some ups and downs when it comes to the production. First and foremost, they did what Hollywood did when it came to casting by, taking a redhead and making her, well, let's just say Netflix got a hold of the casting, but then that person got jettisoned, and then we ended up with Matilda Lutz. Lutz, sorry, sexy name. And realistically, she's better than their original choice for the role, but kind of a far stretch away from the source material, because there's Red Sonja in the comics looking fine, on her way to go kill something, I would imagine. And then also, we've had a Red Sonja on film before, portrayed by Brigitte Nielsen, and alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger standing shoulder to shoulder, because Red Sonja is supposed to be a physically intimidating and then also feminine heroine. So you would think that would be the perfect story that modern day Hollywood would want to tell. A woman who's more than capable of beating up more than half of the Marvel characters on display. And then also, if they wanted to play a little bit ignorant in order to try to get people back into the theater, you could play into the hyper-feminine mystique. But nah, this is also modern-day Hollywood, so they want their cake and they also want to eat it too. So they want the strong boss babe of this. The fact that Matilda Lutz on Red Sonja Reboot, this is a completely different story. So they want to have stop me if you've heard this before, but the completely different story is going to be a strong, empowered girl boss, but then also at the same time, everything that would lead you to be a fan of the source material would lead you to look at the name Red Sonja with any sort of reverence and go, oh yeah, this isn't going to be that type of story, because Matilda Lutz slams source material for being made with a very male gaze orientation. Says new film is very woman empowered. By the simple nature of the character, it's already a feminine empowerment story. If you know why she became Red Sonja, let's just say it has more to do with her taking up that moniker than just simply the red hair on her head. If done right, could be a really cool story, but I'm going to take a wild guess on this one that it's going to suck. According to its star, Matilda Lutz, the upcoming Red Sonja film will be seeking to abandon the male-gazed orientation. Okay, you want to tell a superhero story, which is... it's at least a comic book story, right? Who's the primary audience? For as much as you want to try to get that single white female dollar, whatever ones are left over after they buy their requisite amount of box wine for the month. And cat food, can't leave that out. But for as much as you want to try to push that by having your failed attempts at having these big girl boss, super-powered team-up films, it's still 60 to 70% a male audience. But cool, I guess if this time around, if they finally see this girl boss kick some ass, then they'll finally be able to come around and see themselves and support the company. But yes, jettison the male gaze orientation in favor of a narrative that is overall very women empowered. Because if you ask attractive women, okay, that right there is pretty feminine and empowering, because guess what? There are different wiles that women can take advantage of that work exceptionally well on their male adversaries. I'll give you 2 good reasons why Red Sonja was effective when she couldn't use brute force. Lutz, who audiences may best know for her starring roles in 2017's Revenge and 2021's Zone 414. Is that supposed to be a joke? Because I haven't even heard, outside of just the simple words, I have never even heard of a reference to Revenge or Zone 414 before in my entire life. She offered her insight to the chainmail bikini-clad warriors in her next cinematic outgoing while speaking to CBR's Tessa Smith ahead of the South by Southwest premiere for new film Magpie. That isn't Magpie some feminist screed, so okay, cool, you're gonna go ahead and bring that over to a legitimate ass kicker. I think Red Sonja's dimensions, I think she's like 6'3" or something like that. Fantastic. Pressed by Smith for for any and all information that she could tease about the film, the actress asserted. So, what I can tell about Red Sonja is that the first ones in the comics were made with a very male gaze orientation. This is what happens when you're stupid. When you're stupid and you look at the source material, you accept a role that you fundamentally dislike in order to change it because you're unsatisfied with its original interpretation. This is why you need to gatekeep your hobbies. You need to gatekeep your interests. Because if you don't like something, if you're not a fan of something and you're asked to create something in that legacy, in that franchise, in the universe, whatever the hell you want to call it, okay, and you fundamentally dislike its representation, it's a poor decision. It's a poor casting choice to be made, and some blame needs to be laid at the feet of the people making those decisions, but then also blame needs to be placed on the people accepting those roles because they're fans of the character, they're fans of the property, and if it's not accurately represented, you're going to piss them off. And then also, if you're just going to go ahead and be heavy-handed with your feminist messaging, even as somebody who hasn't watched the original, is well aware of it, obviously, who knows about the author and his other characters. Like if you just crank out a terrible film, well, people are just going to dunk on you for that. And given your previous body of work, and I've never heard of it before, it kind of sounds like you're so far batting 1,000 when it comes to Red Sonja. This is a completely different story. It's very women empowered, which I loved about the script. Oh, fantastic. Unfortunately for fans of the crimson-haired heroine, this is not the first time that this next Red Sonja has thrown up such red flags regarding its narrative direction. Speaking of Variety, in honor of her being ranked 5th in the 2023 entry for the annual top 10 screenwriters to watch list, the film Scribe, The Witcher Blood Origin. Oh my God. I think because that came out in a year of absolute failure that was 2022, people sleep on how awful, atrocious Blood Origin was, but the fact that she continues to get work, Tasha who? Yeah, exactly. Teased that Red Sonja would provide audiences with both stories of great female friendship, oh great, how long before they scissor, 5 minutes into the opening episode, as well as a glimpse into how women uniquely survive out in the world. How gruesome are you going to get? Because this is supposed to be during the height of the barbaric, the Norse, the pillaging, and you know what comes along with that during Viking times. How women uniquely survive out in the world. Are you going to broach that topic? Because you might have me interested in that one if you're going to get so edgy with your content, but I doubt it. Interestingly, despite this feminist bent on its story, Red Sonja's producer, Les Weldon, told Collider that the film is a little bit of I don't want to say a darker take, but a little bit of a darker take than what you would expect, certainly compared to the original Red Sonja. Which, yeah, outside of good casting with Brigitte Nielsen at her peak powers, before Flava Flav got in there and stuck it in the cigar burns. Yo, can you believe that she left Dolph Lundgren for... whatever, man. Anyways. However, despite the film's offering such a little bit darker of a take, director MJ Bassett has confirmed that it will abandon perhaps one of the most harrowing elements of the 85 silver screen adventure, her sexual assault by a gang of bandits. Yep, exactly. And that's the underlying cause to make her seek revenge, which is an awfully good motivation, and if done correctly, would be crazy good. I have no interest in fictional women who use blank as an engine of motivation, the director told Hollywood Reporter Scott Johnson in January of 2023. Why are you adapting this work? Oh, right, because you're so untalented you can't get your original script off the ground. That makes sense. It's a strong motivation. Oh, it's not a strong motivation. Oh, really? Seeking revenge? I think that's an awfully powerful motivation last time I checked, but I'm not a Hollywood director. She's just a human being in the world of femininity. Yeah, in the era of Vikings roaming the earth. Yeah, femininity, huh? Further, the details of Red Sonja's exact plot currently remain under wraps, which hopefully it stays there. According to a summation of Bassett's words provided by Johnson, the film will be an allegory for more existential questions about the survival of the species in the face of climate change. Oh, God, this thing sounds like total AIDS. I guess Red Sonja won't have to worry about the proto version of that because her primary motivating incident isn't going to be alluded to or referenced at all. She's just simply going to take up the sword. She is simply going to seek revenge on bandits because the world is getting warmer. I want to die reading all of this stuff. So good luck on that one, okay? Because who could possibly like this character? Okay, who could possibly want to see that on screen? Who would want to see somebody who looks like a 2024 version of Brigitte Nielsen. No, nobody would want that. Nobody would want this interesting story brought to screen. No, of course not. Nobody would want to see, a heroine that looks like this in today's day and age in chainmail bikini. No, couldn't possibly want that. But for all the people who are saying that we need a modern take on this character, they're probably the same ones that have a laundry list of OnlyFans subscriptions that they need to go ahead and fulfill. You make me sick to my stomach. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.